A storm is approaching a small town in America. The family of artist David Drayton waits it out in complete darkness and does not quite imagine the scale of the disaster. David is going to the store to patch up the holes. The family goes down to the water and notices a thick, unnatural white fog that is descending from the mountains. David, Brandy, and Billy go to the supermarket to buy everything they need to eliminate the consequences of the hurricane. All the residents are trying to buy as much food and essential goods as possible because it is unclear how long this collapse will last. The military and police appear in the store. The sounds of sirens are carried over the town, and the next minute, Dan Miller appears in front of the store. The man screams about some kind of danger in the fog. He asks to close the doors, but people do not yet understand the seriousness of what is happening. One of the buyers goes out of the building and runs to his car. He is covered in fog, and the others hear screams. People lock the doors, and then an earthquake starts. Everything is covered in fog, and they can't see anything on the street. One of the women, worried about her family at home, wants to leave. People ask the men to take her, but no one agrees to this. Then she leaves alone. David goes to the warehouse to get a blanket for his son. The man hears noise outside and knocks on the door. He tells the mechanics about it, but they do not believe him. They decide to check the warehouse and find out that the generator turned off because of a clogged pipe outside. Norm volunteers to open the lifting door to clear it. He lifts the door and everyone sees a thick fog. Suddenly, huge tentacles with claws grab Norm. Others cannot cope with the enormous strength of the monster, and the creature drags the guy away. The mechanics come to their senses and lower the door. The men return to the store and try to tell the others what happened. Ollie makes everyone listen. He tells about the incident, but the manager laughs and does not agree to go into the warehouse. The man sees the rest of the tentacle, but it begins to melt. Everyone begins to strengthen the windows. Brand gathers a group of skeptics around him who do not believe David's tales and are going to leave the store. Mrs. Carmada attracts believers and promises that demons will come for everyone present tonight. David asks the military for help. The guys join the group. Miller and Irene offer to make torches and fight well with weapons. One of the store's visitors reports that he has a shotgun in his car. It turns out that Ollie was engaged in sport shooting, so Amanda's revolver is given to him. Meanwhile, Brand announces that his group is leaving. David understands that persuasion will not work and asks someone to tie themselves with a rope so that the people in the store will know how many meters it is possible to walk. The biker's ready to walk to Cornell's car to get his shotgun. The skeptics, led by Brent, go outside. Suddenly, something grabs the rope, and the man barely manages to hold on to it. Then it weakens, after which David pulls the remains of the biker out of the fog. Now everyone understands that it is not worth going outside. Mechanics restore emergency lighting. Suddenly, people hear a knock on the glass and then see an insect that looks like a flying scorpion. There are more and more of them, but then a winged animal resembling a pterodactyl rushes at the glass. Ollie gets the idea that these creatures are flying toward the light. David orders everyone to turn off the lights, but people run away in panic. One of the creatures breaks the window and the insects get inside. A huge fly bites the saleswoman. The pterodactyl also begins to hunt. One of them is set on fire. Mrs. Carmada is attacked by one of the flies, but when the woman says the words of prayer, the insect does not bite her. The battle with the monsters continues. Ollie destroys the largest ones. Suddenly, one of the pterodactyls appears right in front of the boy. David manages to save him when Ollie shoots the monster. Everything ends, and although the people have won, many of them have suffered. Against the backdrop of what is happening, people begin to believe Carmada's prophecies. Some of them become very ill. People remember that there is a pharmacy nearby where they can get the necessary medicines. David generally suggests leaving here, since they barely fought off the creatures, almost burning down the entire store. His car is almost at the door of the shop, and there are 8 seats. David reminds about the prophecy of Carmada because she may well demand that someone be sacrificed. In the end, the people agree to his plan after they go to the pharmacy. Having learned that a group of people are going to leave, the fanatic and her supporters start screaming because they can bring the monsters with them. A small group of people still go to a neighboring pharmacy. In the silence and fog, people get to it and find the necessary medicines. Suddenly, in the light of a flashlight, a cocoon appears, inside which a human figure is visible. One of the men accidentally touches another cocoon. He is burned and screams. It immediately becomes clear that one of the prisoners in the cocoon is still alive. It turns out to be a military policeman who says that the fog arose due to the fault of the military from the Arrow Project. Suddenly, spiders start crawling out of him. David understands that they can no longer help and orders them to leave. But the adult spiders sense their presence and begin to shoot people with their web, which corrodes everything in its path. But part of the group manages to escape from the building. After they return to the store, Carmidi's group becomes even larger. David hears a call for redemption and understands that they need to escape. He remembers the policeman's last words and decides to interrogate the soldiers. But he suddenly discovers that 2 soldiers who participated in the Arrow project are no longer with them. The remaining soldier admits that the scientists from the project accidentally opened a window to a parallel world from where the fog and creatures appeared. Carmidi's followers beat and throw him outside. They consider this atonement for one day of safety. The soldier is destroyed by a huge creature. David sets the departure for the morning, when everyone will be asleep. However, it turns out that Carmidi had foreseen this, and the people are being guarded. David tries to resolve the issue peacefully, but the fanatic convinces her supporters that it is necessary to sacrifice David's son. A fight begins. Realizing that they cannot win otherwise, Ollie destroys Carmidi, and no one else dares to interfere with the group's departure. They go out into the fog. On the way to David's car, they are attacked by monsters. The survivors climb into the car. The man sees the revolver that fell from Ollie's hand and grabs it. But this almost ends in tragedy. The survivors drive away and leave the people in the store. Through the fog, David drives the car towards his home. The man discovers that his wife has become a victim of spiders. The people decide to drive until they run out of fuel. Along the way, they see traces of destruction everywhere. One day, they notice a colossal monster with a body covered in huge hanging tentacles. After a while, the fuel runs out. The people silently look at each other, realizing that there is nowhere else to go. With the last 4 bullets, David destroys everyone so that no one suffers from the monster's attack. But there are no more bullets and the man gets out of the car. He prepares for the monster's attack, but after a while he hears a growing roar. David looks into the darkness and expects the monsters to appear, but tanks and other military equipment drive out of the fog, followed by many soldiers. They burn out the fog and the creatures living in it with flamethrowers. The man sees several cars with survivors, among whom he notices a woman from the store whom no one agreed to take home. Shocked, David realizes that everyone in his group of survivors could have been saved. He cries on his knees and 2 soldiers look at him in bewilderment.